Okay, thank you so much. And now Vinicius, please.
Let's go. I'm Vinicius. I am 21 years old. I am software engineer too, and I like things like to practice sport in my free time. And I am father of pets, and I'm in TNT to improve my English with like you guys. Uh, I had to 3 weeks, I think, 3 or 4 weeks that I am here in TNT. So that's this.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, TNT is basically the best platform to practice English for me. I'm like suspicious to say that, but I'm really passionate about this platform. And let's start, guys. Let's start with the first question. I'm going to read it. Do you think big tech companies have too much control over people? Can you start, Ju, please?
Yes. I guess so. I guess nowadays we have contact with these companies every day, at least if we don't want to have, it's necessary. So you give them our private datas every day when you use Facebook, especially, and another platform. So they work with it, and you just provide the material for them, try to control us.
Yeah, we give them the product for they to make money because the product of them is our data, right? I totally agree with you. And Vinicius.
I think the same that you said. Uh, the big companies have a lot of data, and of we. And until my health data, the Charm, for example, have because I use a smart band to monitor my exercise, for example. So this is I, s- I forget the name, but this is a special example in a case for my life, my health life, that the big companies have the control. Asham is a big company too nowadays, I think, like the other companies. So I think very much that the big companies have control of your data, all the most data that we uh, can do making a day, for example.
No, that's unbelievable, right, guys? So we can imagine the companies now can track how healthy the users are, or maybe if they are exercising or not, their behavior. So it's unbelievable. And Pedro, how about you? Do you think they have a lot of control?
Yes, I think because they had a lot of information of us, they can do what they want with our information, I think. In my case, all my life is at Google. I use all the Google products. I am kind of a fanboy of Google. So if Google go under for something, I think that my life will go under too, because I use all the products. And yes, all my data is stored at this big tech companies, like in Apple too. I have a lot of information there too. So that is what I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. I personally I use all of the big four. For me, also I use Microsoft. Microsoft is not. Um, they didn't talk about Microsoft actually in the movie, but I think it's a lot. It's other big company, right, guys? And I use their service as well because I work with their stack like .NET and other software Azure and things like that. So basically, I think they have too much control, and also that explains why the governments are trying to control those companies, right? Because they are basically out of control, to say that way. Pedro, can you read the next question for us, please?
Yes. Do you think the government should regulate all technologies? Regulates all technologies. I think that's hard for the government because almost all the technologies, new technologies, are confidential. For example, if some big tech is developing a new product, the code of this product, the idea of this product will be confidential. So I think that it's hard to government control, regulate what the code or what the product is really doing behind the scene.
Yes, I agree with you. I think this is one of the barriers, or one of the, can I say that, the problems for the government to control the big techs. But I think there are also other reasons why they don't do it. And Vinicius, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with Pedro. I don't talk this and in other moments about this question, but I think that the government, for example, the Brazil government, I don't think that the government has prepared to control on technology for the people. For example, I think that the government have a lot of problems to resolve on to control technology, for example. So I agree with Pedro. This is a big wall to the government control on technology or all technologies, for example.
Yeah, we have serious problems to solve in our country before we start wondering about the startups and the big companies, right? Tech companies. But curiously, we are a huge country, and there are a lot of the unicornios, let's say like that, in Brazil. So there are, maybe in the future we can see a lot of big companies here in Brazil as well. And Ju, how about you? Do you agree?
Yes, I agree. And let me think, I don't know what is the worst, if it's big companies try to control us or the governments try to control the big companies. But I think the technology are improved so fast that it's almost impossible to the government try to control it. And in Brazil, I think it's harder because, I don't know, here, as the Vinicius and the Pedro said, you have another priorities at the moment, I think.
Yes, I totally agree with you guys. And for just one example about what you said, Jude, our politicians, they were trying to vote some rules to regulate the crypto market, and we could see that in their text. So they wrote a lot of ideas about how to regulate this market, and they clearly the politicians, they didn't know anything about how the technology works, because they wrote a lot of sentences there that make no sense, about the technology. So they have basically no idea what they were trying to vote and to regulate. So this is really hard. This is a really hard market to control. Okay, Vinicius, can you read the question number 3, please?
Sure. Number 3, what are the advantage and disadvantage of controlling technology and tech companies? The advantages are the datas, sure, because I think that the datas are the gold of the moment. And on disadvantage, maybe don't have every control of the companies and technologies, because like to as to Ju said, the technologies and improve so fast. So I don't think that government. I'm just thinking in Brazil, but I will to spend my money think the our word. So mesmo assim, I forget how to say this. It will be a very problem, a good question to solve. So advantage is the data that is so important, and a disadvantage is the speed that these technologies are improving. I think that's this.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing. I agree with you. Maybe if they control these tech companies, our data are like more secure, right? So I hope that. And Ju, for you.
I agree with Vinicius. I think the advantage here is have a lot of information, data, and it can be used to help us in general as society. And disadvantage it's because when it comes with security, you don't know who can use and what the main idea of using our data. And when I read this question, I think who you control the technology and tech companies, the government. I don't know if it's a good idea, especially here in Brazil. Maybe we need to have a free technology and try to keep the balance in this field. I don't know if it's possible, but nowadays how it work.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, for example, if we use the Telegram or WhatsApp as an example, because they are private companies, they have developed their own code and the software and the features. And we can see that in several lawsuits and several government cases, the government has asked, or the law court that has asked, oh, I want this conversation about these people. You give it to me the conversation, and the company say, no, I won't give the conversation because I don't have it, So in this case, it's good that the government doesn't control our data because they don't have access to that, right? So there's a balance, as you said, there's a balance. So control a bit and don't control everything. Maybe we can find out what's the best way. And Pedro, do you agree with us?
Yes, I'm totally agree. I think that the advantage is the data because yes, they have a lot of data of us and they can extract a lot of information of us, offer new products, offer a lot of things based on your information that they store. And I think the advantage is if something happening, like for example, you said a new law in a country is forcing some big companies to show behind the technology what's happening, what's working. I don't know if it's possible all the world together trying to force the same law for a big company. I think that would, I don't know if it will be possible one day, but I think that will be a problem.
Yes, I agree with you. And when you were talking about that, I just remembered, Pedro, about the companies that they bring a patinete as a service, patinete or bicycles as a service. So they rent bicycles and things like that. And the problem was the government here in São Paulo, they were like, they created a law that the companies should reduce the speed of the bicycle or the electric bicycle. So we can think about that. What if the government has said, oh, you should only bring bicycles in 10 kilometers per hour? So maybe the companies won't be stimulated to produce more because they say, oh, they control too much our technology. Let's stop doing these products, and life would be so, boring. So that there is a balance, as we said. Ju, can you read the next question, please?
Number 4.
Yes.
Do you think the government has too much control over people? I don't think so. I think the government try, and they are work in order to have more control, especially about our financials and taxes. I remember 10 years ago, a teacher was talking that the government are trying to create a program that will deliver every year our tax income. I don't know if I can say that, automatically. So imagine you don't need to do it every year because the government have all your data. The time passed, and nowadays you continue doing it every year. But I don't know, maybe in some years the government will active this goal. And imagining it's a way that government can control us and how much you are pay with are paying taxes. So for the government it would be a great thing.
Yes, and they are getting closer. I think they are getting closer, especially nowadays with the peaks, right? Because this was certainly a way to, of course, to make the industry more productive, but also on the other hand, they have all our data, right? So they can control digital transactions, and they understand how people are moving money from one place to another, or paying someone that usually to receive in money, basically in paper, right? So no control over paper, but nowadays they have all the control over the digital coins.
Yes.
And yes, I agree with you. And Pedro, how about you?
Yes, I think this is already happening in China, Russia, in these countries like this. For example, in China, they don't have, like, for example, YouTube. They have an YouTube from government that the government have made for them use. So they have a lot of products on internet that only the government can do, and the people only can use that. I think I saw something in Russia too. That's almost the same thing. North Korea, yes, but there's a kind of another stuff of policy. So I think yes, they can control a lot of our life, but they can use that in a good way too. I know that in Brazil, we have one of the biggest computers in the world in terms of processing at Receita Federal, and the computer is able to detect money laundering in real time. So that's really curious, interesting.
Yes, really interesting. And it's funny what you said as well about China, because over there, that's unbelievable, guys, because even private companies, the government take control over private companies. So Alibaba is an example. It's a huge company, and the government is controlling their financial group. So basically, you create the company, you are the creator, you do so much hard work, and then the government say, oh, now I'm going to control your company. So it's unbelievable, right? Yeah. And Vinicius, how about you?
I agree with you guys. I think that the government try to control the data and the technologies how as all technologies in general. But I don't think that the government, like to Brazil, for example, have a good relationship with tax, because if I bring to here the voting machine, electronic voting machine, for example, uh, if I think without corruption, this is other part of the problem of the question in general. But on the technology solution, I think that this will be so much better if the government have much investments in technology in general. I think in security, investing in the tech area in general, the voting machine will be a form, maybe, but we have technology to make this, I think, but the government don't have good relationship with tax yet. How to the big techs have, but this is a good question to discuss. I think that's this. I think that the government try, but don't can't yet.
Yeah, they're trying. I think the whole idea here is that they're trying. They're getting closer. I sometimes I get happy because when the government starts making more services digital. So recently, I had to renovate my driver's license, and I could do it entirely by the internet. I only had to go to the doctor to make a checkup, But all the other part of the process was digital by the internet. So I got happy when I see that happening, because for us, the users, it's so much good, so better. But on the other hand, they have more control now, so they know whatever we are doing. Okay, so let me read the next question, guys. What technology should be banned in your opinion? So is there any technology that you guys would like to be banned for forever? Can you start, Pedro, please?
I'm thinking about that. Technology should be banned. I really don't know. I think all kinds of technology have a good way to use, but I don't think that we have to ban some technology. Maybe only the things in deep web, like for example, the websites that sell drugs, guns, and like those things. But the technologies that will have access, I don't think that we have to ban them. Only in this case for deep web things that I have.
Yes, I agree with you. I think because it is kind of complex. Basically, most of the technology, they were created to help us, and then there's some guy that say, "Oh, what if I use it to, for the black side of this stuff," right?
Yeah.
And Vinicius, how about you?
I agree with you. I think the same, and maybe technologies that make apology for racism, discrimination, other groups, and minority groups, and sell drugs and guns, and I think that's this. Like to you said, guys, apology for racism, discrimination, on other bad things that happen, social things in words, for example. I think that's this. I believe that stories apps have I forget the name, policies to block these apps, but maybe one or other can to be published, or And the internet same, not in the stores, but the our internet, the people have access to the stacks. But I think that have a way to block this, and this will be good.
Yes, I agree with you. We were talking about this in the last week, right, Pedro? About some videos that they were harmful for kids in the YouTube
Yeah.
in the past, right? So it's good. It was going to be good if people could ban such videos, such campaigns, as Vinicius said. And Ju, how about you? Would you like to ban some technology?
I'm just thinking here. No, it's complicated because people can use for good side or bad side, but ban it, I don't think so. I can think in an example to say now.
Yes, okay, no problem. Guys, I don't know. I think one technology I wish, or at least that we could ban is like nuclear technology, I don't know if we have like an extremely important usage besides people usually for energy, to make energy. But I think we can create like some better technologies without nuclear power. For example, the solar one, the winds and things like that. And also there's because it's really harmful and really dangerous. If the nuclear reactor explodes or there is some problem, it's really dangerous, right? Okay, so let's move to the next one. Can you read for us, Vinicius, please?
Sure. What technology should never be controlled? Why? Um, I don't know. I think the technology have a control for anyone. The government or a previous company and anyone have to control this of inform or in way. Sorry. So an example that I can't think now is the SUS, for example, the system of SUS, because the government have the control, but I think that a previous company not can don't have to have the control. Sorry, but I don't think anyone more to say about this. It depends of the case. I think that's this.
Yeah, so basically the health system, I agree with you, the health system should not be controlled entirely by the government. I agree. And Pedro, how about you?
Yes, I agree with you. I was thinking about in geolocation applications should be never controlled, but we have a problem. Maybe in some situation they are very helpful. For example, find someone that is disappeared. For example, they can access the person account and try to track all the way that this person did before disappear. So I think like you, it depends the the way that you are thinking that what is control, you know?
Yes. So how much control, right?
Yeah.
The point is how much control. And you, how about you?
I have the same opinion, and I think never. Oh, that's so hard. Never, always. For me, doesn't work. I think all the technology will be controlled for someone. Sometimes the government, sometimes for big companies, but all the technology technology have to have a certain kind of control. The point for me is who is controlling it, and the people that have this control, what they are using it. I think it's the point for me.
Yes, that's really important to have some maybe if we have some really clear rules. So, oh, you can control this, but that far. So, oh, you cannot control these points. Maybe this could make it the rules clear for us. And also, in my case, guys, you know, I have a problem with the financial department of financial services. We can see recently in China, maybe 2 weeks ago, the government have how can I say that freeze. They freeze the bank accounts of hundreds of customers, and basically they could not go to the bank and withdraw their money. So imagine you have a work or you have a savings account where you put all your money, and the government just say, oh, okay, it's frozen, you cannot withdraw any money. So for that reason, I really love the idea of cryptocurrencies, and I would like they never control cryptocurrencies, but they are trying to control it as well.
Don't
Unfortunately.
let your money in one bank, guys.
Yeah,
It's the type.
that's really dangerous, really, really dangerous. In Argentina, I think that's a problem as well, because they are facing a really big economic crisis, and people are going to the banks and withdrawing a lot of money in Argentina nowadays. So it's unbelievable. Okay, let's go to the next one. Actually, we have only one question, but I can bring more questions for us in this meanwhile. So, Ju, can you read for us, please?
Number 7.
Yeah, we have 2 actually. Yeah, please, 7.
Do you think technology changed so fast because it is almost impossible to be controlled? Yes, can be. I think every day the technology are improving, new companies are has been creating. So nowadays we have some big techs, like the example of the video for big techs, but in 1 year, we don't know, you can have new companies, and it's impossible to think how the future will be, because it's unimaginable. You have a lot of possibilities, so who knows? The sky is the limit for technology nowadays.
Yes, it's unbelievable because technology changes so fast. In the past, I think people would never imagine that we would be here talking in English and practicing in English, through the internet. Maybe like, I don't know, 50 years ago, who was going to imagine that, right? So, and now we are here, and they say that the big companies in the future, like if you look in Forbes 100 biggest companies of the world, in the next 10 years, maybe they won't even exist anymore. So it's really bizarre, right? And Vinicius, how about you? What do you think about this question?
Yeah, I agree with you. The Orkut is a good example. I miss this social media. I think that the technology changes so fast, but don't because it's impossible to be controlled. I think that is because it's necessary. The world need to new technology for resolve other problem, are complex problem, and the technology will be improved with the time. This is I think that happen every day. So I think that's is the world have a lot of problems to be resolved, and the technology is a good way to resolve um, a lot of problems. And because this, it's necessary to be changes so fast. But I think that because this the technology changes so fast that the government or the big or the companies don't have the control, don't come to the control of the technology, for example, because it's changed so fast. I think that is the contrary. I forget the name, but I think that is the technology changed so fast that the government or companies don't can control this.
Yes, it's like the government tries to control this specific technology and then say, oh, I don't use this technology anymore, and then create another one, and then the government had to go and control it again. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Actually,
And Pedro, how about you?
Yes, I agree with you. And I think the technology changed so fast to be not controlled too. For example, if some countries create some law to interdict some technology, they will create something to pass this law or create another product or create a variation of this product just to evolve that, and that's that I think that is always changing the way to do new technologies. For example, you said before WhatsApp, for example, they have encrypted messages, so no law will force them to bring to deliver the messages for a law court, for example. So they developed that a way to say we don't have the messages, it's not your problem, we can deliver that for you, and that's it.
Yeah, and because there is actually other problem, because there is a law that say, oh, you need to protect the data user, right? So they say, oh, I'm just following this rule, right? I'm protecting the data, so that's the reason I have encrypted the data. So
Yes. I work in a company that they send a lot of email spam. So there is a law saying that they don't have the rights to send email spam. So they bought a new company in Iceland, in Polynesia, something like that, and they start to send emails from there. So if they are sending emails from there, it is legal.
because they're basically following other countries' rule, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the companies they are always trying to see some holes they can use in their favor. And also, as Vinicius said, and Ju, technology changes a lot. We are, as society, we are changing so fast, right? So the human being is always studying and developing itself and creating new technology, new tools. And I think the government can control basically everything. Okay, so let's move with the last question is, do you think technology will ever be controlled by only one government, country, or company? So basically the idea is here. Do you think that in some moments in the future, only one big power will control some technology, like let's say, oh, Google buys everything, or USA government controls and buy everything, the whole country. Do you think that's is going to be possible? Can you start, Ju, please?
I don't know if it's possible, but if one day one government try to control everything related to the technology, probably we'll have the Third World War. Imagine if USA tried to control everything, Russia will start a war and other countries too. So it's insane. But I don't know, the future it's unpredictable.
Yes, that's a nice word. That's a nice word. Yeah, and basically, it's too much control for one to control, right? So basically, that's the reason that we are going to face a war. I agree. And Vinicius, how about you?
I agree with you. I think the same. I hope in a one day, in a long future, the human will be more united. But I don't think that one government or one company have the all the control of the technologies. This will be good. How to just say it. I think that will be so crazy. I hope that I don't will believe will be I forget vive. I forget live
Uh, Alive.
alive. Yes. I hope that I don't will be alive to see this.
If, if this happened, right? So you don't expect to see that happening. I agree with you. And Pedro, how about you?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think that is something very difficult to happen, and I couldn't be here when this will happen. It's kind of a umbrella corporation, the real world that's taking control of everything. It's so weird.
Yes, basically. Maybe they are trying to start this umbrella
Yes.
corporation in China, right? With there is a company similar to WhatsApp. What's the name? WeChat. So basically, WeChat, the Chinese people, they use WeChat for everything, like bank, for social media, for everything. So maybe they are trying to create a company like that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So that was the last question, but I just have one more here. We talked about what technology should never be controlled, but let's think about what technology, in your opinion, should be controlled. So think about any technology that you say, oh, we need to control this technology because for some reason. I have one example. I have one technology I wish any government control it, but I want just to hear from you before. Can you start, Vinicius, please?
I'm thinking this one technology that I think that will be better that government have a control. For example, this is
Yes,
yeah.
yes, that's the point. Yeah.
This is a good question.
Okay,
uh,
so to give you guys time to think about, I'm going to start. The technology I wish they control is advertisement, you know, because for example, I am watching YouTube and they always put a lot of advertisement. I'm on a website and there are a lot of advertisements. So maybe the government could, create some rules to regulate this and say, oh, please don't put like one advertisement in like 30 seconds or something like that to maybe make it more useful for the users. And how about you?
yeah, I agree with you. This will be so good. I don't think I don't talk in when you anything, but I agree. If the government have this control to regulate about this, this will be good for our customers, for example. I agree, but I don't think I don't can't think in nothing now.
Okay, okay, no problem. And Pedro, how about you? Do you agree or do you disagree?
Mm, yeah, I agree, but I don't think that government can control that. I'm trying to thinking something that government can control an application, but I'm talking in the example that I said in the last week, some applications, like for example, to predict if, for example, YouTube, to predict if there's a bad video inside something that are saying to kids to do something wrong, to, like for example, the blue whale to kill themselves, or just to, maybe it's a point to government monitoring and control that. It's more health care in general that government could control.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think it's hard. I agree with you that it's really hard for the government to control that kind of stuff, right? So in order to do that, they basically need a really powerful technology. And you, how about you?
If the government could control the fake news, would be nice. I know it's almost impossible because the government, the politicians use the fake news in own benefit, but it would be interesting if there's some way to control it.
Yes, you said something really important, especially nowadays in the elections. We saw in the video, actually, the guy was talking about the Cambridge Analytica. Have you guys heard about this story? On Facebook, Cambridge Analytica. It's unbelievable because they used a lot of data to predict and to change the user's behavior on Facebook. So it's unbelievable. I really recommend, if you guys haven't watched the Social Dilemma. They talked about it in Social Dilemma. And basically, yeah, if the government could control this, especially during the elections, it would be amazing.
Social Dilemma, it's a documentary?
Yes, you can find it on Netflix.
Okay.
Basically, they talk about social medias and how can they control us. And actually, because there's the social media, this documentary is created by software engineers that work in these big techs. So it's unbelievable. It's really, really amazing. Okay, guys.
I talk about one thing that I believe that will be better for me. For example, if the government have the control of the algorithms, this will be very controversial. But I have a point. I hate the algorithms. Recommend me a video on YouTube, for example. I only to access the YouTube to see my video that I have in my mind, that I'm subscribed, for example, and the YouTube recommended a new video, and for me this is a fighting with YouTube, with your algorithm, to don't see the new video, do not don't lose my time in watching a new video or procrastinating, for example. So I think if the government have the control about this will be better for me, for example.
Yeah, because they are manipulating us, right? If they suggest, they suggest some videos for us to watch, and basically you get addicted to this tool, and you keep watching and watching and watching. So yeah.
Exactly.
That's a way the big companies control us, right? Because they suggest stuff. They say, oh, we are using these tools to make you more comfortable or to improve your services. And on the other hand, they are like controlling, manipulating us to use their service.
Yeah, the Orkut was so good because not have these algorithms. You won't search it on the thing that you want to access, the community, the friends, only things that you want to watch and nothing more.
Yeah, back in that days, they didn't imagine they could use these I think, because if they knew they have this power, I think they have created this as well in your culture. But I really, as you said, I enjoyed this social media so much. The communities were amazing, right? So, okay, guys. So our time is up. I would like to share 2 links with you guys. The first one is a survey. You can go there and give us a score. Say whatever you want. Give us some comments and say, oh, I would like to talk about this or that subject. And then I'm going to read it and bring it in the next conversations. The other link is the video we were watching on YouTube about the big text and the control, if you want to watch the whole video. And the video of the live of this conversation, if you want to share with someone, you can go there and watch the whole conversation back and see and share with your families and ask people to come. Okay, thank you so much. It was a pleasure for me to be here and talking to you guys. I learned a lot. Hope to see you next 2 weeks. Bye bye.
Thank you, guys. See
you
you.
guys.